When an alien princess met a human warrior, her calm was put to the test. HFY Sci-Fi HFY. Princess Salith of the Orlan Conquered had been calm for as long as she could remember. Calm was not only an emotion to her people, it was a discipline, a tradition, and a measure of worth. From childhood, she had been taught to slow her breathing, to smooth her thoughts, and to keep her expression gentle and unreadable. Among the Orlan, calm meant control, and control meant survival in a galaxy filled with unpredictable species. Now, standing inside the observation chamber of the Conquered's diplomatic station, Salith felt that calm being quietly tested. The chamber was designed to be soothing. Soft light flowed from crystal panels in the walls. The air carried a faint scent meant to relax the nervous system. Outside the wide, transparent window, stars drifted slowly as the station moved along its orbit. Everything was perfect, balanced, and silent. Then the human arrived. Captain Elias Rowe entered the chamber without ceremony. He was tall compared to most Orlan, broad in a way that spoke of physical strength rather than genetic elegance. His uniform was simple, marked only with a few symbols Salith had memorized during her studies. He stopped 3 steps from the center of the room, placed his hands behind his back, and waited. He did not look around in wonder. He did not fidget. He did not smile nervously or show excitement. He simply waited. Salith watched him closely from her position across the chamber. According to the data, humans were emotionally intense, quick to react, and driven by instinct. Many species described them as loud and restless. Yet this human warrior stood as still as a statue, his breathing slow and steady. After several moments, Salith spoke. "Captain Elias Rowe," she said, her voice smooth and even, "welcome to the Conquered Station." Elias inclined his head slightly. "Thank you, Your Highness. It is an honor to be here." His voice was calm but not flat. There was warmth in it, controlled and deliberate. Salith felt a faint ripple of curiosity. Most visitors showed signs of tension during first contact with royalty. Humans, according to the reports, were especially emotional in such moments. This one was not. "You have been chosen to represent humanity during this observation period," Salith continued. "Your role is unusual. You are not a diplomat by training." "No, ma'am," Elias replied. "I am not." "Then why were you selected?" Elias paused for a fraction of a second. Not hesitation, Salith noted, but consideration. "Because I have experience working under pressure," he said, "and because I know how to listen." The answer was simple, too simple. Salith studied his face, looking for signs of pride or insecurity. There were none. His expression was open, relaxed, and honest. She gestured toward a seating platform. "Please sit." Elias moved smoothly and took his seat, maintaining respectful posture. The silence that followed stretched longer than most species found comfortable. Salith allowed it intentionally. Silence often revealed weakness. Elias did not break it. Minutes passed. Salith felt a strange sensation. Her calm, usually effortless, now required attention. She was aware of her breathing, her posture, her thoughts. The human remained steady, eyes focused but not challenging. Finally, Salith spoke again. "Humanity has a reputation for volatility," she said. "Many within the Conquered are concerned." "I understand," Elias replied. "We have earned some of that reputation." "You do not dispute it." "No," he said calmly, "but reputation rarely tells the whole story." Salith tilted her head slightly. "Explain." Elias leaned forward just enough to show engagement but not dominance. "Humans react strongly to danger and injustice, but we also learn quickly, we adapt, and we value restraint, especially when the cost of losing it is high." Salith felt a faint tension in her chest. Restraint. That word held deep meaning among her people. Yet humans were not known for it. "You are a warrior," she said. "Your kind is skilled in conflict." "Yes," Elias said, "but being a warrior does not mean seeking conflict. It means being prepared to face it so others do not have to." That answer stayed with her longer than she expected. Over the next several hours, Salith guided Elias through a series of cultural exchanges. He answered questions about Earth, about human society, about their long history of struggle and survival. He spoke of oceans and deserts, of cities rebuilt after disaster, of people who worked through exhaustion because others depended on them. He did not dramatize these stories. He did not boast. He spoke as if hardship was simply part of life. Salith began to notice small details. Elias drank water slowly, savoring it as if used to scarcity. He adjusted to the station's gravity without complaint, even though it was slightly uncomfortable for humans. When a translation delay caused confusion, he waited patiently instead of interrupting. At one point, a junior attendant accidentally dropped a data slate, the sound echoing sharply in the chamber. Salith felt a brief spike of irritation, quickly smoothed away. Elias, however, stood immediately and helped retrieve the device, offering a reassuring smile to the flustered attendant. "It's all right," he said gently. "No harm done." The attendant relaxed almost instantly. Salith watched this interaction with growing interest. Elias had not been required to intervene. He had chosen to. Later, as the session neared its end, Salith asked a final question. "Captain Rowe," she said, "how do humans maintain emotional balance in uncertain situations?" Elias considered the question longer this time. His gaze drifted briefly toward the stars beyond the window. "We don't always," he said honestly, "but we practice. We remind ourselves what matters. We carry our fears and doubts quietly so they don't spread to others." Salith felt something shift within her. Among the Orlan, calm was achieved by minimizing emotional weight. For humans, it seemed calm was achieved by carrying weight without letting it show. When Elias departed, Salith remained alone in the chamber. The soothing lights felt dimmer than before. The silence felt heavier. She replayed the meeting in her mind, searching for flaws, for cracks in the human's composure. She found none. Instead, she found something more unsettling. Elias Rowe's calm had not been natural, it had been built. For the first time in her life, Princess Salith wondered whether her people's calm was strength or simply comfort, and that question refused to let her rest. Princess Salith did not sleep well after her first meeting with the human warrior. This was unusual. Sleep normally came easily to her, guided by years of mental discipline. Yet her thoughts kept returning to Captain Elias Rowe and the quiet weight he carried without complaint. The next cycle began with a scheduled tour of the station's shared sectors. These areas were designed to test how different species reacted when placed together under mild stress. Salith arrived early, her posture composed, her expression serene. She reminded herself that she was here to observe humanity, not be influenced by it. Elias arrived exactly on time. He wore the same simple uniform as before, clean and practical. There was no visible sign that he had noticed her prolonged silence the previous day. He greeted her with the same respectful calm. "Good cycle, Your Highness," he said. "Good cycle, Captain," Salith replied. They began walking side by side through the station's corridors. Transparent walls revealed other delegates at work. Voices overlapped in many languages. Lights shifted subtly as environmental systems adjusted to mixed species needs. Salith noticed that Elias paid attention to everything. He watched the floor when gravity shifted. He noticed when a nearby alien's breathing became rapid and slowed his own pace to match. He did not stare, but he did not ignore discomfort either. "You seem very aware of your surroundings," Salith said. "It's a habit," Elias replied. "On Earth, conditions change quickly. Awareness keeps people safe." "From danger?" she asked. "From mistakes," he said gently. That answer lingered with her. As they entered a negotiation simulation room, Salith explained the exercise. A fictional trade dispute would be presented. The goal was not to win, but to maintain stability and reach mutual understanding. Most species struggled under the emotional pressure of disagreement. The simulation began. Voices from holographic representatives filled the room, each demanding concessions. Some spoke sharply, others accused. The noise level increased and the lighting shifted to a harsher tone. Salith felt her calm begin to thin. Her training told her to withdraw emotionally to maintain distance, but doing so made the voices feel louder, more chaotic. Elias remained steady. He did not speak immediately. He listened. When he finally did speak, his voice was not loud. It did not dominate the room. Yet it carried. "Let's slow this down," he said. "Everyone here wants the same thing, stability. Let's focus on what we can agree on first." The simulated representatives adjusted. The volume dropped. The tension eased slightly. Salith watched in silence. Elias was not commanding, he was grounding. The simulation ended successfully. The room returned to its softer lighting. Salith realized her shoulders had relaxed without her noticing. "That was effective," she said. Elias shrugged lightly. "People feel safer when they're heard." "Most species focus on being understood," Salith said, "not on understanding." Elias smiled faintly. "That's a human flaw too. We just learned the cost of it early." They continued the tour. Along the way, Salith asked questions she had not planned to ask. "Captain Rowe," she said, "what motivates human warriors?" Elias thought carefully before answering. "Responsibility," he said. "Not power, not glory. Responsibility for those who can't protect themselves." Salith slowed her steps. "That is different from our records." "Our records are written by survivors," Elias replied quietly. They reached a rest area overlooking a distant star cluster. Salith invited Elias to sit. She studied him more openly now. "You speak of hardship as if it is ordinary," she said. "It is," Elias replied, "but so is hope." Salith felt a strange pressure behind her eyes. Among her people, hardship was avoided whenever possible. Systems were designed to prevent discomfort. Emotional strain was considered a failure of preparation. "Humans rebuild often," she said. "Your history is filled with loss." "Yes," Elias said, "and with people who kept going anyway." There was no pride in his voice, only acceptance. Later that cycle, Salith observed Elias interacting with station personnel. He thanked maintenance workers by name. He listened when a junior officer expressed anxiety about making mistakes. He offered reassurance without minimizing their concerns. Salith began to understand something unsettling. Elias absorbed emotional strain from others. He carried it quietly so they did not have to. During a formal council briefing, tensions rose when several delegates questioned humanity's readiness for galactic integration. Their words were cautious but carried fear beneath them. Salith felt her calm strain again. Her training urged her to remain neutral, to avoid emotional engagement. Elias stood beside her, silent. When permitted to speak, he did not defend humanity with passion or anger. "We are not ready," he said plainly. "No species ever is, but we are willing to learn, to listen, and to be accountable for our mistakes." The room grew quiet. Salith felt something inside her crack, not loudly but enough to be noticed. Elias was not seeking approval. He was offering honesty. After the briefing, Salith retreated to a private chamber. Elias was dismissed for rest. Alone, she tried to meditate, to return to her familiar stillness. It did not come. Her thoughts circled around a realization she did not want to accept. Her calm had always been effortless because her world had been carefully protected. Elias' calm existed because his world had not been. Later that cycle, a minor systems failure caused a brief environmental fluctuation in a shared sector. Alarms sounded softly. Some delegates reacted with visible distress. Salith felt her breath quicken. The situation was not dangerous, but it was unexpected. Her mind raced through protocols. Elias moved immediately, guiding others with calm gestures. "It's stable," he said evenly. "Just a systems adjustment." His presence steadied the room. The alarm stopped. Salith watched him, her heart still racing. She realized that in that moment, Elias had been calmer than she was. That night, Salith finally understood the truth that unsettled her most. Human calm was not the absence of emotion. It was the decision to stand firm while carrying it. And for the first time, Princess Salith wondered if her people's calm could survive a real storm. The crisis began without warning. Princess Salith was in the central observation hall when the station lights dimmed slightly, then steadied. At first, it seemed like a normal adjustment. Such changes happened often in a place designed to support dozens of species. But then a low tone echoed through the hall, not loud, yet impossible to ignore. It was a system alert. Delegates paused mid-conversation. Some stiffened. Others looked around in confusion. Salith felt her chest tighten. She maintained her posture, her expression smooth, but inside her thoughts accelerated. A station aide approached quickly. "Your Highness," the aide said, voice tight, "we are receiving irregular signals from an ancient relay station along the trade corridor. It has reactivated unexpectedly." Salith's mind raced. The relay station was old, built by a civilization long gone. It controlled navigation stability across several sectors. If it failed, trade routes would become unreliable, causing economic stress and political fear. "What is the risk level?" Salith asked. "Unclear," the aide replied. "The system is behaving unpredictably." Unpredictable. The word unsettled her. Delegates were already gathering, voices rising as speculation spread. Some demanded immediate withdrawal from the corridor. Others called for isolation protocols. Fear, subtle but sharp, filled the hall. Salith felt her calm slipping. Her training told her to slow down, to detach emotionally, but detachment only made the noise feel louder. Her thoughts tangled in possible outcomes, none of them comforting. Then she noticed Elias. He stood near the edge of the hall, observing quietly. His posture was relaxed but alert. He had noticed the shift before others reacted. When his eyes met Salith's, he did not speak. He simply nodded once, as if asking permission. Salith hesitated for a heartbeat, then inclined her head. Elias moved forward. He did not raise his voice. He did not command attention. He stood where he could be seen and waited until the nearest voices faded naturally. "Everyone," he said calmly, "let's take a moment." Some delegates bristled at being addressed by a human warrior, but his tone was steady, respectful. It did not challenge authority. "We don't have full information yet," Elias continued. "Reacting too fast may create more problems than the system itself." Salith listened, surprised. His words mirrored her training, yet carried a grounding quality hers lacked at the moment. "What do you suggest?" one delegate asked sharply. "I suggest we gather accurate data first," Elias said. "Then act together." The station's AI confirmed his recommendation. Diagnostic data began streaming in. As information filled the air, tension remained but panic slowed. Salith felt her breathing steady slightly. She watched Elias closely. His face was calm, but she now recognized the signs beneath it. Focus, effort, choice. When the data completed its initial analysis, the news was troubling. The ancient relay's logic core was fragmenting. It was not hostile but confused, attempting to fulfill outdated directives. If left unchecked, it could destabilize navigation systems. The conquered council convened immediately. Salith sat at the center, her usual place of composed authority, yet she felt exposed. The situation required decisive leadership, and her thoughts still felt heavy, clouded by too many possibilities. Some council members urged shutdown of the relay, despite the risk of damage. Others insisted on complete evacuation of the corridor. Voices rose again. Salith tried to speak, but the words did not come smoothly. Her calm faltered, not visibly, but enough that she felt it. Elias stood beside her, silent. Finally, she turned to him. "Captain Rowe," she said, steadying her voice, "you have experience with complex systems under pressure. What is your assessment?" The room stilled. Elias did not look surprised by the question. "I believe the relay is not failing," he said. "It's overwhelmed." "Machines do not feel overwhelmed," one counselor said. "They do when they're built by thinking beings," Elias replied gently. "Especially old ones." He explained that many early human systems had shown similar behavior when faced with conflicting directives. Shutting them down often caused more harm than guiding them. "We don't need force," he said. "We need patience." Patience. The word echoed through Salith's thoughts. The council authorized Elias to assist the station's technical team as an advisor. Salith accompanied him to the control chamber, determined to observe closely. Inside, the air buzzed with quiet urgency. Technicians worked across multiple interfaces. The relay's signal patterns shifted constantly, erratic but not aggressive. Elias studied the data carefully. He asked questions, listened to responses, and slowly formed a plan. "We communicate," he said, "not command." Salith watched as he guided the technicians to adjust signal pacing, to simplify inputs, to reduce pressure on the relay's logic core. He spoke to the system through controlled data streams, sending clear, limited instructions. Time passed. The relay's signals began to stabilize, but the process was slow. Some technicians grew restless. "We're running out of patience," one said. Elias nodded. "I know. That's why we stay steady." Salith felt something twist inside her, staying steady under strain. She had believed that calm was the absence of strain. Elias showed her it was something else entirely. As the process continued, a sudden surge in data caused alarms to flicker. Several technicians stiffened. Salith's heart raced. Elias did not move abruptly. He raised a hand, signaling calm. "It's responding," he said. "Don't overwhelm it." His voice anchored the room. Slowly, the relay's output smoothed. The alarms faded. Navigation systems across the corridor returned to stable operation. A quiet sense of relief settled over the chamber. Salith exhaled, realizing she had been holding her breath. The crisis was resolved without shutdown, without evacuation, without panic. It had been solved through restraint, patience, and trust. Later, as systems returned to normal, Salith and Elias stood together overlooking the stars. "You carried the room," Salith said softly. Elias shook his head. "I just helped people stay focused." "You stayed calm when others could not," she said. Elias considered her words. "I wasn't calm," he said honestly. "I was managing it." Salith turned to him fully. "That is the difference," she said quietly. She understood now why her calm had been tested since meeting him. Elias' presence forced her to confront the limits of a calm built on comfort. Human calm was built on endurance. As the stars drifted past, Salith felt her understanding shift. The galaxy was vast and uncertain. Storms were inevitable. For the first time, she realized that her people might need to learn a new kind of calm, and that humans, despite their reputation, might be the ones to teach it. The station slowly returned to its usual rhythm after the crisis. Trade traffic resumed, delegates moved through the corridors again, and the quiet hum of life filled the air. Yet for Princess Salith, nothing felt the same. The events surrounding the ancient relay had changed something deep within her. She stood alone in her private chamber, gazing out at the stars. For the first time in many cycles, she was not practicing calm. She was thinking. Her people had always believed that calm was the highest form of control. It was taught as a shield against chaos. But during the crisis, that shield had cracked. She had felt fear, uncertainty, and pressure all at once. And yet it had been a human who had stood firm when she could not. A soft chime announced a visitor. "Enter," Salith said. Captain Elias Rowe stepped inside. He looked slightly tired, but his posture remained steady. The effort behind his calm was now clear to her. "You requested my presence, Your Highness," he said. "Yes," Salith replied. "I wish to speak with you before the assembly." The Galactic Assembly was gathering that cycle to discuss the relay incident and humanity's role within the Conquered. Many would be watching closely. Opinions had already begun to form. They stood side by side, facing the stars. "Captain Rowe," Salith said, "do humans ever grow tired of carrying so much responsibility?" Elias was quiet for a moment. "Yes," he said honestly, "but we rest when we can, and we rely on each other." Salith absorbed his words. Among the Orlan, reliance was seen as weakness. Each individual was expected to maintain their own balance. "Your people are different," she said. "You do not avoid storms, you endure them." Elias gave a small, thoughtful smile. "We don't have much choice." When it was time, they moved toward the assembly chamber. Delegates from dozens of species filled the space. The air was thick with expectation. Salith took her place at the center, Elias standing respectfully to her side. The assembly called for her statement. Salith rose slowly. For once, she did not smooth her thoughts into practiced calm. She allowed herself to feel the weight of the moment. "Esteemed delegates," she began, her voice clear but honest, "recent events have tested not only our systems but our understanding of strength." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. "We have long believed that calm is the absence of disturbance," she continued. "That to be strong is to remain untouched by pressure. I believed this as well." She paused, meeting the eyes of those before her. "During the relay crisis, I was calm by tradition, but uncertain in truth. It was a human warrior who reminded us that calm can exist alongside fear, effort, and responsibility." Some delegates shifted uneasily. Others listened with intense focus. "Captain Elias Rowe did not dominate the situation," Salith said. "He did not command or threaten. He listened. He endured pressure without spreading it. He steadied others by carrying the weight himself." She turned slightly toward Elias, acknowledging him openly. "This is not volatility," she said. "This is stability." The room fell silent. Salith continued, her confidence growing not from tradition, but from conviction. "I propose that humanity be recognized not as a risk, but as a stabilizing force within the conquered. A species capable of remaining functional when systems fail and emotions rise." The assembly erupted into discussion. Some delegates objected, citing humanity's turbulent history. Others supported her proposal, referencing the relay incident. Throughout it all, Elias remained silent. When the assembly finally reached a decision, the result was clear. Humanity would be granted expanded participation within the conquered, with a special advisory role during high-pressure events. The announcement echoed through the chamber. Salith felt a quiet sense of relief mixed with resolve. After the assembly dispersed, Elias approached her. "Thank you," he said simply. "For what?" she asked. "For trusting us," he replied. Salith shook her head slightly. "You earned that trust." They walked together through a quieter corridor. The station lights reflected softly off the walls. "You will not remain here long," Salith said. "Your duty will call you elsewhere." "Yes," Elias said. "That is the nature of it." "Does that trouble you?" she asked. Elias considered. "Sometimes, but knowing we helped build something better makes it worthwhile." Salith stopped walking. She turned to face him. "My people must learn what you have shown us," she said. "That calm is not fragile. It is something that can be strengthened." Elias met her gaze. "Your people already have strength," he said. "You just use it differently." They shared a moment of understanding, unspoken but complete. When Elias departed the station, there was no ceremony, no grand farewell. He left as he had arrived, quietly, with purpose. Salith watched his ship disappear into the starfield. In the cycles that followed, change spread through the conquered. Training programs were adjusted. Emotional endurance was studied alongside emotional control. Humans were invited to share their methods, not as conquerors but as partners. Salith herself changed most of all. She still practiced calm, but she no longer feared its loss. When pressure rose, she did not retreat from it. She faced it, remembering the human warrior who had shown her another way. She understood now that calm was not about being untouched by the storm. It was about standing within it and choosing not to fall. And because of that lesson, the galaxy became a little more prepared for whatever storms might come next.